Welcome to White Line Fever, episode 14. They said we wouldn't last. I'm on a tour bus in Wolverhampton, and I'm cold, but I'm not from Finland. I'm with Michael Monroe. Are you cold?
A bit chilly. I could be a bit warmer. It would be nicer. Even though I'm from Finland, doesn't mean I enjoy the cold. Actually, I'm quite more sick of it than you are, I'm sure. Enough of the long winter.
You've just come off stage. How was the show? I really enjoyed it. I've not seen you before.
Oh, thank you. I thought it was fun. That was cool. A little bit hectic at first because Wednesday had decided to move the showtime a little earlier than it was supposed to be. We were supposed to go on at, I think it was 20 past 8 or something. All of a sudden we were told that we were going on at 5 past 8, which is kind of, I mean, it's dodgy. It's changing times for later. I mean, if you want to make it a little later, that's cool, but making it earlier is always kind of not a good idea. But we made it anyway, so I think I was 5 minutes later that new time schedule, but we did good, had fun. I think most people enjoyed it.
It's a fantastic band you've got together. It's almost a supergroup, isn't it, really?
To me, it's the best bunch of guys I could ever imagine playing with. I'm very happy with this band.
Are you still buzzing from winning Album of the Year at the Classic Rock Awards? I mean, it's a great. I mean, it's awesome. Congratulations. I mean, does it change things when you win an award like that? Is it just fun? Or?
It was amazingly. It was really an amazing honor and really cool thing. It made me feel very nice. I mean, having an award like that, especially having Duff McKagan go out of his way to be able to present it to me and us. He had traveled. He was going to travel. He had a flight booked to South America, and then when he was offered the opportunity to present the award to us for Sensory Overdrive at the Classic Rock Awards, he changed his travel plans to be able to give the award to me, which is totally mind-blowing. And he had such a beautiful introduction speech before he called me up. He was going to call me up on stage there. He was just talking about Hanoi, what a huge effect, how everybody back in LA, back in those days in 1984, just around the time we were doing that first tour, the Fatal Tour, people were buzzing in Hollywood. It was like, oh, Hanoi rocks everywhere, everyone's talking about it, everyone wanted to look like Hanoi and stuff, and him and Slash were really excited about coming to see the show that we were supposed to play, but then what happened, and it was one of the saddest days, he said, like in rock and roll. And when he mentioned that, you could tell he was choking up. I was looking at Sammy, and we all got like tears in our eyes. We were, oh boy, I love that guy. He's such a sweet heart of gold. What a guy. So it was really touching. So as a matter of fact, when I got up there, it was. I was kind of at first I was totally speechless. I was like, wow, that's a beautiful speech, and it's mind-blowing, really cool. Gene Simmons saying, come on, move it on. Okay, Michael, we only got 2 hours. Come on, hurry up. Gene, excuse me, I'm sorry. You got 10 million trophies on your walls. You got all this stuff like up the wazoo. I mean, the one time I get an award, can I please just talk a couple of minutes here? Please, let me talk. Let me finish. So anyway, yeah, it was great. Great honor. It was really pretty amazing. I've never been to that awards ceremony. It's a beautiful thing.
The one thing I was going to ask you about the new album, or lyrically on the new album, as you can see, we're doing like 3 things at once. We're doing an internet story, we're doing a podcast, and we're shooting. And I was worried about doing that because I listened to Modern Day Miracle, and it sounds like you're not enamoured with modern day technology. Do you own a smartphone? Do you you don't like the fact that we're always connected, or is it?
No, I prefer when it does work to your advantage in terms of if you actually can do 3 things at the same time and you can get them all done, then that's great. That's the whole idea. But if you don't, if it just gets more complicated, then that's what a Modern Day Miracle is talking about. That it's supposed to be making things more, simplifying things and stuff. But very often it just turns out that just complicates things.
Yeah. Do you own a smartphone? Are you always on the internet, or do you prefer to sort of get away from it?
I wish I could get away from it. It's like a necessary evil. I'd say in the past, I do. There are many moments where I really long for the past, where you didn't have to. When you went home at night, you normally would go to bed. Nowadays, you just have to go, the emails. And you have to check the emails, and you stay up for 2-3 hours that you normally wouldn't. No, just go to bed and forget about it. And then go, oh God, yes, the emails have to reply to this and that, and so it's kind of. I mean, there's a lot of good things about it, and then again, there's especially with a schedule like mine has been over the past couple of months, ever since the U.S. tour. We did 3 weeks in the States. Really great, fun tour it was. And however, we ended up in L.A. The last show was at the Whiskey in L.A. Sold out and all. And we left L.A. I got back to the hotel about 3 in the morning and had to leave at 6 in the morning to catch a flight to Tokyo. And we did 1 gig in Tokyo at this festival, the V-Rock Festival. Then we flew back to Helsinki. Had 1 day at home. And the next day I had to, I live in Turku, it's 2 hours from Helsinki, the capital. Turku used to be the capital. That's my hometown now. I grew up in Helsinki, but in any case, besides the point. I had to travel to Helsinki to start doing promotion for my book.
Yes, I was
my autobiography. It's out in Finland so far only. Okay. But in Finnish. But it's going to be translated before too long into English, and it'll be out in the rest of the world. It's basically
the second book you've been involved in, isn't it?
Yeah, the first one was the Hanoi Rocks. All those wasted years.
Wasted years, yeah.
And that came out in Finland too, in Finnish only. And there were talks about, there was negotiations were going on about having that translated too, but then they didn't go much further than, there's I saw a draft of a contract, an agreement, but then it didn't go much further than that. So, but this one's going to be no problem because it's just me you have to deal with. The Hanoi book you have to deal with Andy and other people involved. So this should be much easier to get released. Besides, this is longer, it's bigger, and actually right
it's
now
like a lot of work.
Oh, it was. I swear.
Now we're dividing this up. We'll come back and we're dividing this up by playing songs, if that's okay with you. Would you like to introduce a song, either any song in the history of recorded music? But I'd assume that you'd like to, play something off Sensory Overdrive.
Yeah. Next song is, you could say, it's kind of autobiography. Yeah, it's my autobiography in English for now. Not just it'll have to do. This song I can relate to every word of it. Definitely what I'm about, and it's called Trick of the Wrist.
Okay, we're back with Michael Monroe, and one thing I wanted to ask you about was, and you've got your autobiography there, which is, now when's it going to be out in Australia? A lot of our listeners are in Australia. Well, do you know any idea?
I've never been to Australia. I would love to go. I love Crocodile Dundee, I love AC/DC. I always wanted to go.
And your tour manager is Airborne's tour manager as well, he was telling me. So there you go. Do you know Airborne?
Yeah, he is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I just met him. I met him for the first time today. But, Australia, as soon as his book is translated into English, it'll be coming out everywhere. Everywhere there's a demand for it. I mean, really... It has actually. It's a story. It's the story of about my life from the beginning to from my birth to. Look at here. Want to see Michael Monroe as a baby? No, this is what
I hope it's not a bearskin rug picture.
Look at that. Who's that? Who is this kid? Look at this sweet, innocent little. I had no rush. I was in no hurry to grow up. I was actually, drooling like a baby. Usually, I'm just a regular guy. My mother wrote this in the beginning of this book. It says my mother wrote a bunch of stuff with me and my brothers, me, my dad, my mom, and my 2 older brothers. So my mother wrote this piece in the beginning saying, actually, when the summer I was born, summer of 1982, 2004. No. When I was born in 1962, which is the year the Rolling Stones were born, and it's the same summer that Marilyn Monroe died. She passed away about 2 months after I was born. It was a beautiful, sunny summer, and it was on a Sunday, and the day I was born, it started pouring down rain. It was raining, and it kept on raining throughout the whole summer, to the end of the summer. Sky was crying because they lost a beautiful soul down to earth. What the fuck am I saying? Anyways, here we go. Look at there. It's got 500 pages. It's got a bunch of pictures, photos all along, the whole story. I just happen to have a ton of pictures with me, Steve Vaders, all these years. So documented nicely. I like to have pictures, Otherwise you get kind of like, you follow a story and you kind of So it's just if you just have like pages and page after page of just reading and writing, you get kind of, sometimes you just like all of a sudden you realize you've been reading it, but you just missed the whole, you're not taking anything in. So 2 colors.
I think I have that copy of Kerrang in there.
You do?
Yeah, that one there.
There it goes. There's some color pictures too, nice pickies here, and got some Hanoi stuff. I got my New York stories. When I moved to New York, oh, look at here. Me, Steve Vaders, and Lemmy. Triple threat. What a, that's some presents in that picture. Presents. Heavy atmosphere. Triple threat between the 3 of us. What do you, I mean, Jesus, I wouldn't mess with those guys. Here, my debut show, my gig in New York, I live here in New York, look at there. There's my windows. This is where I lived for 10 years on East 3rd Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue, the Hells Angels block. The 4th of July Independence Day party was my first gig as a solo artist in America after I'd moved there in 1987. They had this flag, American flag, and that logo there, you know, above the stage, and yeah, it was one of the coolest gigs. And yeah, so New York, yeah, Demolition 23. My solo years actually lasted. There was a lot longer than Hanoi ever. But with the original Hanoi in the 80s, it's about for almost less than 5 years. The rebirth of Hanoi from 2000 to 2009. Those both put together are still shorter in years than the time I've spent solo, which is what, up until then it was like 16 years. Anyway, so then here's the story of me from my birth to this day, pretty much the end of the summer here.
So you're walking down the stairs just to see me just then, right up to the few minutes ago.
Yeah, it's like up until now, up until this interview. Hey, I'm talking to an Australian guy who seems to want to have the book as well. And here's getting closer to today. Here's the new band, and you know, there's the rebirth of Hanoi first. I was gone. I'm looking back at it and going like, yeah, that was good to do. Now we're back here. Got there, and here we go with some of the new shows. We got Ginger in the band, then we got Dragon in the band. See, coming all the way up to this moment. Look at the shirt. Same shirt. Can't be too far now. Me and Sammy, brothers. Oh, look at there. My head bleeding, and Barbados, it's actually a CBGBs. It used to be CBGBs. We did a show there in 2010, and I kept busting my head on a monitor above me like 3-4 times. The 4th time, it really busted open. I was like blood all over the place in the spirit of Steve Baders and Iggy and all that stuff. It's appropriate. And look at that. I have my own star in the Walk of Fame in Turku, where I live.
Cool.
Right? Normally they give them to people who actually were born in Turku. I got one even though I was born and raised in Helsinki. And these stars you can't buy. Like in Hollywood Boulevard, you can buy if you pay enough money. You can buy a star for yourself. This one you have to earn. Yeah.
And you're going to the presidential, what is it, the presidential dinner? Is that right, in December?
Whatever party. That's like a gathering, an annual. Every year it happens. There's 2,000 people invited, and mostly distinguished, older veteran soldiers, and people that are, I guess, significant. So first time ever I've been invited to go and be there, so it's very cool. Actually, I met the president almost about a couple of years ago at a John Fogerty show in Finland. She likes rock and roll, therefore I love her. She's great. Here's my bike. Look at that. My bicycle is like a Harley, it's like a chopper kind of. A friend of mine is in a Harley.
Are you taking that back home with you from New York?
What,
or is it
the bike?
Yeah.
No, I bought it in Finland.
Oh, right, you bought it in Finland. Right.
Yes. So, anyways, and then the most important thing, my cats, like the four cats from my life, these are the past 3 ones. Susie was my cat in New York, 16 years, and here's my 3 cats with my...
Susie as in Susie and the Banshee, spelled the same way?
Susie is Finnish and it means a wolf.
Oh, I see.
S-U-S-I.
Oh, right, okay.
There's Gizmo, there's Sippy, and there's little Missy. She's the only one alive anymore out of all these. But, just some shit,
Very cool. It's very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I was going to ask you something, and it's kind of an Australian reference a little bit. Rose Tattoo probably invented the whole biker rock.
Rock and roll out loud. Never needed anyone. Sammy said once, greetings to Angry. Angry says, Angry, I want to lick your bald head. Angry apparently was, oh wow, yeah, sounds like a cool guy then, whoever it is. Yes.
So, I mean, they probably invented the biker rock thing, the tattoos, and maybe haven't got due credit for it. Do you feel a little bit the same about the glam explosion? Do you think everyone else talks about your impact? Do you think about it much?
Everyone else talks about it, and they all say, you started this, or I'm to blame for it. I say, don't blame me for that shit. I mean, if you're talking about the people, all the Sunset Strip scene and whatever, I mean, of course, it's always flattering when someone says, oh, you influenced this and that and made a big impact on something. But to me, personally, I could not relate to that kind of stereotype, rock and roll, rock star, sex, drugs, rock and roll cliche. I mean, a bunch of guys with big hairdos, makeup, and who could play their hairspray cans better than the instrument. And they learn to pose and party and, get screwed up and, act like, pretend to be rock stars before they even learn how to play or write songs. So, to me, the music, the attitude, rock and roll, rock star, sex, drugs, rock and roll cliche. I mean, a bunch of guys with big hairdos, makeup, and who could play their hairspray cans better than the instrument. And they learn to pose and party and, get screwed up and, act like, pretend to be rock stars before they even learn how to play or write songs. So, to me, the music, the attitude, and the, being able to play was more important. I mean, I would not have the gall to stand up on stage doing anything other than if I wasn't able to play and perform and do something, stand there and pose and not really have much substance to kind of back it up with. I wouldn't have the nerve to be up there. I would just not do it. And to me, it's about music, So in any case, I mean, God bless him, and I think something like Guns N' Roses, for example, that is a great thing to that's a great thing to see that they came out and they said Hanoi Rocks was a major influence, but they had their own thing, and they really took the essential, the right things about Hanoi they were influenced by, and they had totally their own thing, and they were the coolest because they talked about Hanoi in the interviews, and they released the European catalog on the Uzi Suicide label in America, just so people would know. I heard Axl just got sick of not having people know about Hanoi Rocks, so they wanted to put them out, and they did, and they actually did something about it. So I really think that's really cool to. That makes me feel good,
Time for another song. What have you got for us?
Oh well, we got blood. Got blood if you want it. How about this? Check it out. Got blood if you want it. Check it out. The verse, sing along if you like.
Okay, we're back with Michael Monroe. It's the final part of this interview. We've run over time, but he's shown us his book. It looks awesome. Can't wait for it to come out in Australia. Now, I'm not going to ask you the Hanoi reunion question that everyone else asks you.
Good. Did you keep up with the lyrics in the last song? You get in the way by causing error to develop like a human machine. You're never privy to the relative or form of defense. It's not a second-hand apology, no matter what the pipe is. Broken on the best of me, and now you want the rest of me to bleed, drain clean. Maybe stand up on the ashes in a token of amplified aggressive animosity that nobody would ever see without a common enemy. Take your shirt, I'm standing here,
But what I was going to ask, because I did see in one interview you said I could have done that for the rest of my life if it had worked out that way.
Yeah.
Do you have, if you wanted to trade under the name, could you? I mean, like so many others have, just trade under the name?
No, there's no such concept that I can conceive of. Right. You mean like with Hanoi Rocks? With
yeah. If you just wanted to call your current band that,
No. No way in hell would I do that. I never would. I never even thought I was ever going to be using that name until the thought of a rebirth occurred to me. And actually, that's what it really was. It was me getting to know Andy McCoy, kind of getting reacquainted, and sort of we learned to know each other in a totally new way. And it was interesting to me because it was a situation where we both had, something very heavy and tragic happen in our lives. I lost my wife of 15 years, and just before, around the same time, Andy had this accident where he fell off a balcony and broke his legs. I mean, it's a miracle of 3 stories. He fell down. Most people would have died. He was totally, it was miraculous how he survived. His legs were in 100 pieces. It was like his bones were all broken and stuff. He was in a wheelchair at first. The doctor said he's never going to walk again. He started walking on it with, he was in a wheelchair first, then he got on crutches, and he started walking with the stick, and, now he's walking. And he's got titanium, whatever. His legs are like It's like a, metal, whatever, bionic man. It's incredible how he recovered. But we were both kind of like on demand, and we got to know each other in a different way. And unlike in the 80s, this time he knew that he'd seen me come onto my own as a songwriter, and he'd learned to respect my input as a, as a writer. And therefore, it was interesting and fun to see what we could accomplish together after all these years, after all the time, and after all the experience we'd had, and we'd grown as people. We'd learned a lot more. We evolved. Like I like to think, try to get better at what you do all the time. And so now it was a kind of a closure. It was interesting to see. However, even though I'm the way I am, I usually if I get into something, I dedicate my whole everything, my whole life to it. So this was something therefore I put my solo career was kind of like on kind of dormant, on hold for the Hanoi thing. I put everything into that, and I didn't have a MySpace for Michael Monroe. Everybody else did. Everyone else in the band. And that band actually, it was mainly, the difference was it was me and Andy, mainly me and Andy and the rest of the guys, as opposed to in the 80s, Hanoi Rocks was the whole, it was like a family, all five of us. So that was a difference. But the band did get pretty good in about 2005 when Connie Bloom and AC Cristal, the Electric Boys guys, Swedish guys, they joined the band. That's when it was really, really good. But ironically, my band now is more of a band than that new reborn Hanoi Rocks ever was. So I feel very blessed. It came to a point where it wasn't really going anywhere, and that's when it was time to sort of, either let it stifle my creativity or just face the fact and move on. And there was a day that I called Andy. I said, "Look, let's face it. We're not writing anymore. We haven't written anything for a year. Let's just call it a day, maintain the integrity of the name, and we did 3 great records, and it was great to see where it went. And now we see that it's not going any further, and it was good to do that. But now it's time to move on. So that's what happened. Now Michael Monroe is here, and he's doing his thing, and I think we entertained a lot of people over the 7 years that thing was happening, and it was good to see and good to do.
Michael, I haven't even got halfway through my questions, but I think I've got a train to catch. You've got to get going. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And one more song. One more song.
What do we got there? Hey, well, you've been playing 78 at all? 78, is that it? Would you like to play 78?
Yeah, I thought it was great tonight live, that song.
Yes, let's play this song, 78. It's about the year 78, but not nostalgically. It's about the spirit and great punky kind of attitude. A lot of bands came out with that punky stuff, and that really had an impact on all of us, and that's what we're singing about. You can take the boy out of 78. Can't take 78 out of the boy. We still got it, and we keep going. Thank you very much. Good.
Thank you.
All right, God bless you, and I can't wait to come to Australia one day and rock out over there. I always want to go, and I'm coming before too long. I'll be down there, way down under.